Saturn writes, I definitely believe opposites attract on a basic level. Here we go. Masculine and feminine are opposites, right? A man acts feminine, he'll attract slash entertain a masculine woman. I think we seek things that are too easy, right? We want a simple aphorism to explain a phenomena in human life. So we say opposites attract, but more often it's incorrect than correct, right? Uh, my girlfriend likes cold weather. I like hot weather. Well, we're not going to want to go on the same vacation. So more often than not, opposites attract just isn't true. I think maybe what you're talking about is that there needs to be a yin and a yang, which is to say balance. You're talking about balance. You're not talking about opposites. You're talking about balance. So the language is important and the understanding is important, but we also don't need to simplify things to a saying. Some things are not that simple. Some things require explanation, and it's okay. But certainly the phrase opposites attract, I think, is a load of horse shit for the most part. Shout out to Rick. He writes, Peace of the Saints, tuition, please carry on. The game is too crucial and the masses need it. Bruh, the masses need it, but the masses ain't going to use it. It's only going to be the leadership class that's going to use it. And when you blow past them, when you accelerate past them, they're not going to comprehend why you're skating by so fast like you got a cheat code. They're not going to understand. Here's a funny story real quick as I wind down. I was hiring a new assistant today, and she came in and comically, I say the first three sentences out of her mouth, I was kind of like, what? And it was almost like our first three, topics, we were like on complete opposites. Like, she was talking about her background in like nonprofit and how corporations exploit people. And I was like, oh, that's funny because I'm running a corporation, and if you work for me, you're going to be working for a corporation, and we're all about profit. You heard me? I was like, so we really need to get this money mindset going. And it was just curious to hear her come in with pessimism and these preset socialist communist type beliefs. And then I eventually said to her, I said, how much money do you want to make per hour? She says, it doesn't, whatever you think is reasonable for the nature of the work. I say, okay, tell me this. What's the most money you've made working at these nonprofits and these NGOs and all these do-good entities? She said, I made this much. I say, cool. I'll pay you twice that much. And she says, really? I said, yeah, I'll pay you twice that much. Am I exploiting you? She was like, no, not if you're paying me twice that much. I said, okay. So if I'm paying you twice that much, I'm not exploiting you. You said corporations exploit people. So how is that possible? She said, well, you're paying me a lot of money, paying me what I'm worth, probably maybe even more than what I might be worth. I said, okay. So, well, then why didn't you feel exploited when you were working for the nonprofit and the NGOs and they're paying you pennies compared to what I'm paying you? Why weren't you exploited by them? And she kind of had like a bit of a realization. And I say, see, if you pay attention while you're working for me and you're ambitious, you will figure out how to amass great wealth if you pay attention and you're ambitious. Because some of your beliefs, your fundamental beliefs are not correct. So if you believe that corporations exploit people, you have a fundamental misunderstanding of capitalism and economics around the world. If it wasn't for corporations, a lot of people would still live in the mud. So just take this note that I am going to pay you twice as much as you are willing to work for as a corporation, and I'm paying you more than a nonprofit do-gooder organization or an NGO do-gooder organization would pay you. And I'm letting you know I'm not a do-gooder. So how's that work out? I want you all to like really peep that, because in life in general, you always want to understand people's mindset before you deal with them. And if you ever want to teach someone, the best way you can teach someone is not out of your mouth, is through your actions. Now she has a real reference point. Somebody says something crazy. Oh, corporations exploit people. They don't pay people what they're worth. She's like, well, I'm getting more money than I'd have never had. It's a major lesson. And every day I'm gonna let her know, like, okay, now let me teach you the other side of the corporation. So I'm paying you more money than you ever had. And that's because you're gonna make money for me. And let me show you how to make the money. The reason that the nonprofit pays you damn near nothing is because it's non-profit. They ain't making no profits. We about to make some profit. Let me show you how to do that. I know if this woman has some values, and the money's not going to retain an employee. I've hired too many people to think that money's going to retain someone. I never set the price of a salary to retain the worker. I set the price of the salary to show respect for the worker, but not to retain them. You see, what retains the person is the enjoyment of the job. That's what's going to retain them. You know, is this a job they can enjoy that fits with their self-identity? Just like I told Shorty, I said, some people want to be broke. I hired one assistant, and I don't say this to put anyone down. I say this just for educational purposes. I hired one assistant, and long story short, she had the first day of work. It seemed like a great time for everyone involved. And I paid her after that first day of work. And I told her, like, after your first 3 days, I'm going to pay you at the end of each day, just in case I don't want to see you again. You don't need to reach out to me again. You know, we done. And so I paid her, and then she went home, and then she had texted me, and she had said, you know, this is a very unorthodox, non-conventional job. You know, my mom's old school. She doesn't quite feel comfortable with it and the way, like, you do business, which is like atypical for South Africa. And so, do you mind if I work remotely? And I said, this is not a remote role, but it's been a real pleasure meeting you. And I thank you for the work that you did today. Be well. And I archived the message because I'm carrying on with the other important things in life. Man, the young lady reached out to me to a tremendous number of times. And she's almost reached out so many times that I almost want to give her another chance, because I'm like, wow, this is some serious persistence. Because I think it dawned on her that, wow, I just blew one of the greatest opportunities I will ever have. And I don't care who the person is. It's a great, if this opportunity I'm giving to these folks was given to me coming out of Berkeley, it would have been the greatest opportunity I ever had. And I think that dawned on her a little bit late. And the reason is because not everyone wants to be successful. Not everyone really wants to be wealthy. Not everyone really wants to get out of their bad situation. Some people want to stay in it, I promise you. And that's why when guys say things like, oh, girls are all gold diggers, they just want a rich guy. Like, nope. A lot of girls know what I'm working with, and they don't want to mess with me because they know I have my mind together, and they don't want to be with a guy who is sane. They want to be with a guy who's going to beat them, or a guy who's going to yell at them, or a guy who's going to get emotional with them, a guy who's going to act a fool, because they interpret these emotional displays as affection, because they grew up in a broken home. So they interpret anger as love, and I'm not going to display that to them. So they'd rather skip a wealthy man who's wealthy, young, experienced, knowledgeable, and go for a broke guy because he fits with what they're used to, what they grew up with, what they expect, how they really see themselves. Because most people don't see themselves in the light of beauty. They just don't. And I wish it were the case. And that's why when I hire people, I tell them I want the best people. I really do. I don't want people who are not the best, or people who don't believe they're the best. I don't want them around me. And you will fall away if you don't believe you're the best. And I will help you be the best. If that's really what you want, I'll help you be the best. I promise you. And I just want to give one last side note, just so you can understand the opportunity I provided this young lady. Her first day of, now mind you, her first day of work, I said, hey, I want you to be to work at this time, which was very early, 6:30 a.m., but you need to be there 10 minutes early. Whenever I say be somewhere, be there 10 minutes early. And I will always compensate you for your time. And in fact, I will pay for all of your travel. I will pay for you to travel to work, wherever I say work is that day. I will pay for you to travel there, and I will pay for you to travel home. And if you like, I will have the Uber booked the business will get the Uber booked for you. So I booked her Uber, brought her to work. She still came to work like 2 hours late. I kid you, on the first day came 2 hours late. I was still kind enough to book the Uber and bring her to work, give her the opportunity. But she still messed it up. Now you have to ask yourself, what job Do they pay for you to travel to work? Jobs don't pay for you to travel to work. Maybe if you go on a business trip, they'll pay for ground transportation, but they don't pay for you to go to your regular job. Nobody does that, especially if you're talking about a country like South Africa. No, they don't do that. Who says, I'm going to basically let you do a trial period and pay you every day at the end of the day more money than you've ever made? Who does that? Nobody does that. They still screwed up the opportunity, saints. Why? Why? Doesn't make sense, does it? No, it makes perfect sense. They view themselves down here. So they have to screw things up so that they end up down here. I tried to lift them up. They had to mess it up so they end up down here. That's why whether you're a man or a woman, if you ever encounter somebody, you're dating them and they say something like, oh, you're too good for me. It's true, get out of there. It's true. Or they act like you're too good for them. It's true, get out of there. Because they're eventually going to do something to screw things up and break the relationship. Conscript writes, Peace of Saints, the three-sentence Bible has been flawless. Respect for all your works. I really do appreciate that, because it was, I kid you not, I had been searching for something that could be a guidance to mankind. And I woke up with it on the tip of my tongue. I woke up with it. Be yourself, be good to yourself, be good to good people. And it was so simple and beautiful. And I knew that it would be easy to understand, easy to apply, easy to remember, easy to transmit. And I was like, wow, this is all that we're trying to figure out when we read the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, all these works that people are never going to read. And everyone can read this. So I appreciate that. That really does mean a lot. And, you know, the key is trying to actually do it. I cannot tell you how many times the be good to good people is where I fall down, which is to say there are people around me that are not good people, and I give them too much airtime. It's just kindness. I give them too much airtime instead of getting them out of the way. I was walking somewhere, and this individual who is clearly a transgender kept trying to keep up a conversation with me. And I was just being pleasant when really I should have just stopped and said, look, I don't want to talk to you. Please stop talking to me. And then carried on. Which sounds rude, but at the end of the day, you're much safer not having strangers or questionable characters around you. And be good to good people is challenging because you have to make sure that you know that someone's a good person. You have to verify that. And that takes a little bit of work, and it causes you often also to be a little bit more on guard around strangers, but you should be. And we're in a weird world. You should be more on guard around strangers. So that's one of the ones I'm challenged with, because I do want to be friendly. And so what I try to do now is make sure that I'm an example of happiness and of living well, so people can see, oh, that's a happy guy, that's a pleasant guy. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to engage with people in a significant way when they might not appear to be good people. Saints, it's been a real pleasure to have this time to fellowship with you. Let us end this with our tradition, the Creed of the Assassin. Repeat after me with full conviction, knowing this is true of you, the Creed of the Assassin. I'm going to be who I truly am because I am remarkable. I'm going to strive every moment to show the greatest part of who I am. Till next time, peace to the saints.